It's that time once again. It's Friday night. We're coming at you from the funky basement in the House of Grease.
Baby.
And we're going to have some fun tonight. And I have my dear friend, Mr. Adam Abrashoff, with me once again. Hello, sir.
Hey, man. Good to be back.
And let's have some fun, all right?
Right.
All right. one.
I like that riff, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's good.
It was fun. The been listening to a lot of Junior Kimbrough last couple days, so that's kind of fresh on my brain. And the psychedelic, the Electric Mud stuff. It's pretty awesome. It's very prevalent in my DNA.
The Electric Mud's like always there.
I know.
Yeah,
It's,
you can't get
it's
rid of
never
that.
not there. The Electric Mud. Not enough love for the Electric Mud. Anyway, welcome to the show, folks. As you can see, I have my awesome brother and soulmate, Adam Abrashoff. Say hi to the folks, Adam.
Hello, folks. Good to be back.
For round 2 of Give the Drum a Song.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it up here. We'll put Barbara Gordon back up here, aka Batgirl. There she is. Yvonne Craig, man. I used to watch the reruns on WGN in Chicago when I was a little kid. They had those in Cleveland, right? Akron?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Channel 43, WUAB, actually, was the Cleveland station.
WUAB.
Oh, yeah, man. Big Chuck and Little John.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We're getting into it.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting
Lanigan
into
and Webster were the morning show, too, on Magic 105.7, and they were hilarious.
Is that right?
My dad listened to them, yeah, all the time.
Man. Yeah, I used to watch the old 60s Batman on WGN.
So good.
And
So corny.
I know, but
It's
so
so
awesome.
good, yeah.
Because when you're a kid, it's like, man, it's Batman,
It's really good.
it's Robin, it's pretty cool, and everybody else. And then you get older and you're like, this is awesome. For lots of other reasons. So anyway, we got a little tribute coming up later on for all you Batgirl fans out there. I know I'm one. So anyway, go ahead and throw up the logo and throw up the Venmo and PayPal. Once again, we have our lovely dear friend Adam Abrashoff. Please be generous, folks. We love you and we thank you very much. And thank you for being so awesome last time.
Yeah, actually, seriously, it was a huge help and much appreciated. And
So
as everybody knows, the music industry is shut down, so
pretty much.
super helpful. Thank you.
We're having to do everything we can. We're having to learn how to do all sorts of things. We're having to learn how to actually develop other skills. We all became musicians because we had no other skills. And now we're having to, you see, we're laughing to keep from crying, folks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so please be generous, and thank you very much again for tuning in. I hope everybody's had a good week. I've had a great week. Got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about tonight with Adam, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about as well. So, Adam, I'm gonna hide you for
Right
a minute,
on.
and we're gonna hop into doing records of the week. Bye bye, Adam. We'll see you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
And so my records of the week this week are I really there's like 2 records in particular that I've just been completely obsessing over. I've listened to a whole bunch of other stuff as I always do, but this week I was obsessing more than usual on one specific thing, and that in particular is this Junior Kimbrough record, which this record right here. It's called First Recordings, and this came out about 10 years ago. Now, let me tell you all a little bit about Junior Kimbrough, if you're not that familiar. I'm sure a lot of you out there have heard of Junior Kimbrough from Fat Possum fame and down in the hill country of Mississippi, hill country blues. You know, him and Arl Burnside and T Model Ford and, you know, that whole galvanization of hill country blues guys. Of course, our dear friends, Luther Dickinson and Cody Dickinson, the North Mississippi All-Stars, are, you know, second, third generation versions of that very beautiful, rich, soulful shit. Love you, Luther. And so anyway, this record, you know, Junior made records back in the 60s. Most notably 45 of the song Tramp, which was an old little Folsom tune that was actually kind of a minor hit. And he didn't really record through the 70s though. And then he he opened up his juke joint, Junior's place, in an old what was an old church from the 20s, and he'd have his shows on the weekend for all the people from the local community there. And this record in particular, first recordings, I think it was like 1968 or something. He made a bunch of demos for a guy named Quentin Clouch, who was one of the founders of High Records in Memphis with Willie Mitchell.
Cool.
And he, Clouch is kind of responsible for discovering O.V. Wright and James Carr. And he cut a bunch of demos with Junior at American, which is Chips Moman's recording studio, where, you know, Dusty Springfield cut Son of a Preacher Man, and Elvis cut Suspicious Minds and all that. And he deemed it too out there for the time and didn't release it.
Really?
Yeah, didn't release it. And so that's what this record is. Came out 40 years later, and I love it. I'm a huge Junior Kimbrough fan. You know, it should come as no surprise, you know, to you folks out there, because, you know, Junior was very influenced by like Lightnin' Hopkins and Mississippi Fred McDowell. And there's also this really obscure guy that if you're into it, you're gonna have to dig a little bit on the internet. But one of his other heroes is this guy Eli Green, who he is kind of notable because he was known to be a legitimate voodoo witch doctor, and was kind of scary, like would put hexes on people and stuff like that. He was a weird guy, and he was one of Junior Kimbrough's, you know, mentors, heroes, and that's the real shit right there. And right, voodoo, like the real thing, not something from a trinket store on Beale Street. The real thing. I read about this. All I know is I don't want to fucking mess with it.
No.
Anyway, this record is great. I highly recommend it. Obviously, all these records are always available on Spotify unless I specify it. How's that? So moving on from there, I'd like to mention my good buddies GA20 up in Boston area. They have a new single that just came out today, and it's a cover of Jimmy Reed's I Ain't Got You, and it's absolutely killer. I love these guys. They're becoming good buddies of mine, and I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying thanks for turning me on, and it's my pleasure, because, you know, we're all in this together, and we're all good buddies, and that's what this is about. You know, it's about banding together and cutting through the bullshit, as it were, as Jimmy Vaughn would say. And so anyway, check this out. It just came out today. Obviously, their record, Lonely Soul, is awesome too. I've talked about that before. But check out their new single and give them some love. The next record, this is the other one I was obsessed with all week. And this is Mandrill's Composite Truth record from 72 or 73. I'm sure a bunch of people out there that are into funk and soul are hip to Mandrill. But this is just some of the coolest stuff, because it's sort of like an amalgam of, it's not quite Afrobeat, you know, and it's not quite like, you know, it's not quite James Brown, you know, JB's. It certainly isn't like Oakland, you know, it certainly isn't like Tower of Power.
Right.
It's sort of an amalgam of all those things from that era. And this was a real popular group back in those days, and this is just a destructive record. There's a song on here called Hang Loose in particular that I did an Instagram story about that a lot of people seem to dig, and I love it. But yeah, I've listened to this record a lot this week, so probably more than I should have. The next record of the week is a new discovery for me, Marva Whitney, It's My Thing. This is one of the funkiest records I've ever heard, and I never heard of Marva Whitney. I really don't know much about her, but I click through lots of different stuff, and when I dig something, I listen to it, and then I find the record, and then I listen to the whole record, you know. And this is something that just popped up, and I checked it out, and I listened to it for 15 seconds, and I went, this is amazing, and I have to listen to the whole thing. So I highly recommend. I'll do some more research. I'm definitely going to be digging more into Marva Whitney. I really love this record, and obviously, "It's My Thing" is a cover of "It's Your Thing"
Okay.
by the Isley Brothers, but it's her
Yeah.
take on it from a woman's perspective. That's not what led me to it, though.
I can't wait to dive in, man. I've never heard.
That's a great
This is
record.
brand new to me, dog.
It's a great
Yeah.
record. The next one, this is something that me and my dear friend Jimmy James from the Delvon Lamar Organ Trio up in Seattle, we have talked about lots of stuff, and actually we're going to be doing a podcast together here in the next week, talking about some really deep R&B guitar players and funk and soul and all that. And the TSU Tornadoes, this is their record, One Flight Too Many. Now, not many people know who the TSU Tornadoes are, but if you're familiar with Archie Bell and the Drells' Tighten Up record, if you're familiar with that record, which that's one of my favorite records of all time. Is it not yours
The music
too?
we tighten up to, man.
Do the tighten up.
Breakdowns when the soul claps come in too.
Yeah, that's right.
So good.
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
so good.
So anyway, let me go back here to this record. So that's the TSU Tornadoes. That's what you're really hearing on that record.
Oh,
It
they're
wasn't
the band?
huh?
They're the band?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the band. And this is a mostly live record that you can go listen to. This is just some hellacious, cool stuff from that era. And this is right when they were riding high from making that record, because obviously that was a hugely successful single on the pop charts. And they were heroes, man, But nobody ever talks about them. But we're talking about them tonight.
There you go.
So check out the TSU Tornadoes and get you some old school funk. And my last one, the Queen, the absolute queen, Miss Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. Her Naturally record, which is my favorite record, and also
It's my favorite too.
it's Adam's favorite Dap King record. And this is just, this was made in 2005, so this was right when the world was getting hip to what was going on in Brooklyn there at Daptone, thanks to the Amy Winehouse success that they were associated with. And this is just an iconic record. I just love the songs. Those of you who've watched the show, that it's like, me and Jimmy James were talking about this the other day, that it's like, if Daptone, if Gabe and Neil hadn't have founded Daptone and Sharon Jones and Dap King, they are the reason why we're all like able to do this now, because like they were doing, old school, low down, real shit when no one was paying attention at all, and it was the farthest thing from things that were
So
successful.
you talk about 2005. That's when like Creed and Nickelback were popular.
Well, I mean,
There was
even
nothing
before,
like-
it's like when they founded the company in like 2000.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like this was the farthest thing from what the vinyl resurgence was far from coming back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything that they stand for was completely their own thing. And for them to do what they've done, and then give the people what they want, which was the record before, well, I suppose it was the last record that Sharon made while she was alive, because Soul of a Woman came out after she passed away. that record was like number 17 on the pop charts.
Wow.
Like a record label in Brooklyn, New York, that they all built together using like black market Home Depot cards that they scored from Charles Bradley. Like basically 5 employees were able to like scale that mountain and like shove it to all of the lightweight music out there. You know, that's amazing, you know. So anyway, much love and much respect to the Dap Kings, the Queen, Sharon Jones, and can't get enough of those records, and we sure miss her. We miss Charles Bradley, Cliff Driver. We miss you all. We wish you were still with us. So anyway, there's your records of the week, and I've just brought Adam back in the frame.
All right.
I see. So let's jam again. Let's play something else for the folks.
All right, cool.
A lot of people ask, like, you know, because every week we debut a new video and song that we've written and cut down here that week, and you know, this people ask, like, well, how do you do it, you know? And this is how we do it. We literally will sit here and knock something back and forth and find something that we think is good. That's pretty much
it. Yeah, and
optimum
chase
thing.
it. Yeah.
And then we'll get a take of it, and sometimes I'm playing bass, sometimes I'm playing guitar. It just depends. And then we'll go ahead and finish it and try and make a video that makes us laugh. And that's it. It's a very very old school in the sense of, like, you know, here we're gonna make something, and you know, the world's gonna have access to it in a couple days. You know, that's how things used to be a long time ago. You know, so so let's do something.
Sure,
let's do something for the folks. Everybody with me?
Bring us in.
Hope everybody out there.
Greasy, man.
Ha ha! That's where I'm going next.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
What a lovely segue.
That is great segue. It's almost like you planned it.
I didn't.
Oh, really?
But that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Um,
That's a happy accident.
It is a happy accident. But you see, that's how we do it, folks. We just come up with stuff like that, and you know, the important thing with not to get too cerebral here. I mean, I try and walk a fine line between overthinking and not, and so you know, I try and pass on what I think is of merit, obviously, to all you folks out there. But when you're, you know, unless you're playing like music that I do not play, meaning things that are very put together, things that are highly produced or highly polished, like, you know, if you like the kind of music that I like, you want to sort of catch it while it's fresh, because I can hear in records when it's like, oh, they played that 2 times too many or something like
Right,
that,
yeah.
where it's like, you know, you want it to feel, you want it to be tight, you want like the parts to work, and you want it to feel good and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, if you get the right group of players together, you know, that's more than half the battle. Most of the great producers that I look up to and I love, whether old or new, like even Gabe Roth talks about this a lot in relation to his production, you know, talks mostly about the right musicians, you know, because if you can have the right tone dialed up, but if you got the wrong player who doesn't have the right sensibility, you know, you got nothing, you know. But if you got the right guy or girl on the right instrument, in the right kind of ensemble, just get out of the way of it, man. So you know, what we do is very, very organic in that way. We try not to overthink or
Definitely.
anything. We just, you know, really, I mean, it's just we're trying to please ourselves, you know. And Adam, you've been through, you know, you've been through the river with me on that.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I gotta say, man, this last couple months has been some of the most joyful of us writing together, man, in years. Part of that is just because there's no stress, and there's no preconceived notions, and we're just coming in here and jamming, and when something feels good, we chase it. So it's been quite lovely.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree. And also, yeah, I mean, there's just a certain level of, like, the new record that's coming out in August is certainly my favorite thing we've ever done. And
Yeah, it's mine too. It's really good.
we've come over a lot of hurdles to kind of get there, and I think that you know, it's the amalgam of all those things that we like. You know, we like you know, because obviously we love, you know, soul music and funk and R&B and real blues, and we like all types of psychedelic music. We like free jazz. We like classical music. We like Afrobeat. We like rock and roll, you know, and so finding a way to try and translate all of that into something, you know, is daunting, you know, because in a way it's like if you very clearly do one thing really well, it's a lot easier. But it's been really fun getting to this point. So yeah, I agree.
For sure.
So Adam, I'm going to say goodbye to you once more.
Cool.
We're going to do our Rig of the Week
Nice.
segment. And as Adam mentioned, guitar geeks out there, or normal people who aren't normal people, what is normal?
That's a great
I have no idea
Yeah.
what is normal. I certainly am not normal. But this is indeed Red, my lovely 62 335. I've put the Bigsby back on it. This is the first time this Bigsby has been back on this guitar since before I was in a band with Adam. It's a long time.
A decade almost.
Yeah, almost. And this Bigsby actually, this is the original Bigsby actually, but a Bigsby has not been back on this guitar since before I actually owned this instrument. the last time a Bigsby was on this guitar was when my buddy Gary still owned it. He was the one that took it off. And, you know, I just got to say, like, I'm really inspired by the old Silvertone I've been playing a bunch. And I actually was doing a track the other day down here from my dear friend Johnny Moeller. Shout out to you, brother, in Austin, Texas, who's got a lovely new band called Sons of a Tyrant, who have a new single out. Go listen to it if you haven't already. Space Dust Lightning is
Nice
what it's
name.
called.
Nice name.
It's a nice sci-fi, fuzzy tribute to Lightning Hopkins.
Excellent.
If Lightning Hopkins was from Mars. And anyway, I started doing the track, and I was using my Silvertone, and the track's a real fuzzy, garagey kind of thing, and it was real cool. And I was having trouble doing what I was wanting to do on the Silvertone, and you know, as is often the case, I mean, it's like if I'm having trouble or something like that, sometimes just putting a different thing in your hand or something like that will solve it, or at least jostle you out of whatever weird thing you're in. And so Red was in the other room, so I picked it up and immediately did what I did, you know, in one take, and it was lovely. And I was like, man, this thing really does play amazing, because it does. This thing's like perfect. I mean, it's not. It's got weird eccentric things, but I know those eccentric things, so I played this guitar for a really long time. And I was like, you know, Adam and I were actually working on stuff for tonight, and working on some other stuff, and I was going back and forth between this and the Silvertone, like, as we were writing stuff and doing stuff, and I was just trying to figure out, like, well, what is it that I'm, like, not liking about Red in comparison? And I was like, well, you know, one thing is I'm really used to the wood bridge on those old funky pawn shop guitars, you know? And so somebody in the comments like many weeks ago suggested putting the nylon saddles back in, which I actually am going to do. Didn't have time to do it this week, but I'm going to. Or I should say have my dear friend Kevin down at Carter Vintage do it for me, because I actually have a story about putting this on that involves Mr. Kevin in a minute. But anyway, I'm going to do that, but I was like, all right, I'll put the Bigsby on, and this is a Bigsby I got from somebody else and had, and because I liked having the Bigsby on there, because I like doing that Neil Young thing. And so anyway, I went to put this on, and there's a ground wire back here that Kevin had warned me to, like, be careful not to let it push back into the body.
Just hear it?
Huh?
Was I just hearing it?
No, that's
No.
a tube. That's
okay.
a tube being funky, and it'll go away, folks. That's how this stuff goes. And of course, it went right back into the body as I was being careful, and I was like, "This is why I should never do these things." So I brought this down to Carter's, and well, I called Kevin, and I was like, "Guess what happened?" And he's like, "The ground wire went inside the body, didn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I was even being careful." And he was like, "Just bring it down here." So God bless you, Kevin, from the bottom of my heart, because you've bailed me out many a time. And I love you. And if you need stuff done, you know, obviously my dear friend Joe Glazier is amazing too, and I love him and Nick and everybody at the shop. But Kevin is my man down at Carter Vintage, and go see him. So anyway, he put the Bigsby back on, and put some nice little dowels in here to cover up the tailpiece stud holes, because I hate the look of those custom made plaques. I hate the way those look. And he was nice enough to do that. And I love this thing. It actually has more sustain than it did before. And I like the way it sounds because of the extra string length that's added to it. There's a butteriness that wasn't there before, and it certainly is not like how shall I say, muddier or anything. Like, if anything, it's actually livelier. I take back, I never really said anything one way or the other about taking Bigsby's on or off guitars. I've always said it kind of depends on the guitar, and that is true. But it just goes to show, I mean, if you want to try something, try it, you know. So I put this back on, and I don't really think this sucker's coming back off because I love it. And plus, it looks
cool.
It looks fucking cool.
Looks cool. Sounds cool.
It looks like it reminds me of like Eddie Taylor, you know, had an old ES with a Bigsby on it, I think, and Mississippi Fred McDowell. Actually, your old friend Dan Arbach owns that guitar now.
Oh, really?
Mississippi Fred McDowell, his old Trini Lopez, which is essentially a 335 with a different headstock, with a funkier headstock, and that has a Bigsby on it. So anyway, so Bigsby's, I say yes. I say yes.
A thumbs up based on what I just heard, man. Yeah.
I say yes. Awesome. So that's where I'm at this week. So there's your rig of the week, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I'm gonna put those other saddles in probably. And when I say I again, I mean Kevin. And we'll go from there. So I'll have some reports for you next week. But Red's got a new lease on life here. So yeah. So let's go ahead, Adam. You and I. Let's go ahead and play one other short thing, and then we'll get into our the nitty gritty of what we've got prepared for the good folks.
All right.
He's got some. We're gonna discuss 3 more grooves that are important to him, and we're gonna discuss 3 of your favorite modern.
Yeah, new guys.
Drummers,
current. Yeah,
current drummers,
alive and play.
And then we're gonna talk about 4 of actually 5 of your favorite out records.
Yeah.
No
3-minute funky ones on any of those.
No. And then we're gonna debut the new track, the new video called Barbara's Lair, tribute to that girl.
I like it.
So yeah, let's see.
What you got?
I don't know what I've got. Let's see here. What do I got? a little bit of Earl Hooker vibes.
Yeah, a little sludgy. I like it.
Earl Hooker, man. Have I talked to you? I talk every week about Earl Hooker, I think, pretty much. Every week. And what do you want? I just love him. He's the best. Like, I love Dwayne Allman. Don't get me wrong. Like, my way into playing slide was totally loving Dwayne Allman and the Allman Brothers and Rod Cooter and all that. But it's like once, it is great stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's like once I got into Earl Hooker, it was like that's the end for me when it comes to slide. And then his use of wah-wah pedals and fuzz, and it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Died of tuberculosis.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody died of that. Well, when was this? Yeah.
In the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think anybody died.
He wasn't that old, man. He
World
wasn't
War
that
I.
old.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, all right, folks. So, Adam, welcome back.
Thanks, man. Good to be here.
Great to have you. So, we're going to start by talking about 3 important grooves to your, we did 3 last time, which was a lot of fun. And you've picked 3 really good ones. We'd like to talk about the first one. This first one, I have to say, when we were talking about this and figuring out what we were going to do here, when he mentioned this first one, I was like, I'm not playing that.
Well, there's a reason, though.
No, I know,
Yeah.
and we're hip with each other.
Right.
Like, this is a song that is like, it's just overplayed. It's like every jam night, every whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And it's like, and it's like, I love it, but it's a meter song. Y'all know what y'all see. Most of you probably already know what we're gonna do. But it's like, I just have no desire to ever hear anybody but the record do it. But for the sake of studying things and playing things properly, that's the reason we're gonna play this.
exactly.
And actually, my dear buddy Kid Anderson out in California has an awesome YouTube video from like 10 years ago about how bass players always play this wrong, and I'll show.
Well, and, dude, I'm not even saying I can play it right. Like, Zigaboo is the man.
Right.
But, it's like, dude,
At
if
least
you
try.
hear a drummer not playing the little open hi-hat melody in the B section, it's just like, did you even listen to the track, dude? Like,
And there's some things in the guitar
make
part.
some effort to,
And there's some things in the guitar part that I'll show, and then the bass part too. But anyway, so Sissy Strut.
Sissy Strut. Here we go.
So, yeah, talk about your love of Zig for a minute.
Zig, I think the thing that I like the most about him is just he's one of those guys, and there's a handful of them, guys, men, women, cats throughout history who are uniquely themselves. They have their own sonic imprint, their own style, and it's what I am striving for, hopefully. Yeah. I don't know that I found it yet, but Zig is like, he's one of those dudes where, like, you hear him, you know it's him,
Yeah.
and nobody can play like him. Often imitated, never duplicated,
And it's really strange because you and I've talked at length about Zigaboo before, and it's like, 68-ish is when the meters start really being the meters, and obviously they'd been together for a while before then, and Leo Nocentelli is one of my favorite guitar players on the planet, and I
love it.
Tons of what I do are lifted from him. I mean, he's as big an influence as anybody on me, and I'll talk about some of that in a minute after we play it, but you think about that time period, and it's like the James Brown transformation of funk, like, hadn't crossed yet into the JBs. We were still in the first incarnation of James Brown, like we were messing around with yesterday. Papa's Got a Brand New Bag.
Yeah.
And and all that. And so that sort of hard funk hadn't really come yet. And even like Al Jackson, with Booker T and the MGs, backing up stuff on Stack stuff, hadn't gotten there yet either.
Yeah.
It was funky, but it wasn't that hard funk.
Yeah.
And it's like Zig kind of got there first, really.
Well, yeah, and one of the things I like about him and the Meters and just New Orleans music in general is like, it's like first of all, it's not quite swing, it's not straight. There's a feel thing. It's kind of in the cracks, they call it, which
Sure.
again, not as great as, like go to Stanton Moore or Johnny Vodakovich, you know what I mean, if you want to dive in deep. But yeah, just the incorporating of like those parade march rhythms and Mardi Gras Indian rhythms into funk, and jazz is, I can't think of anybody who did it before them, you know, at least in a popular setting. I mean,
No, I mean,
I'm sure it was going on in New Orleans back in 1915, but yeah, I mean, they've been doing parade marches and stuff forever.
Yeah.
There,
But no, as far as popular music,
but as far as
is
bringing it to
concerned,
the popular front, man, it was the Meters. And,
Zig was so anyway. Their most popular song. So we're gonna attempt to play this adequately. How's that? We'll set the bar in reality,
it's it.
right? How's
Yeah,
that?
man, yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, it's amazing. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was okay.
It's gonna be acceptable.
Good. It'll be acceptable.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Hold on, let me get.
Should I talk to like the drummers out there for a second about like when I hear somebody play this groove, what I'm listening for?
Let's play it
Let's
first.
play it first, okay.
Yeah.
And a 1, 2, 3, 4.
So there you have it. So, Adam, you go first.
So,
and then I'll
okay,
go.
so there's two main things. It's like, did you hear somebody just blowing eighth notes in that A section? Dude, did you even listen to it? There's a distinct little hi-hat melody that Zig's playing the... Right? So I feel like that has to be there in some form or fashion, and he chops it up a little bit too.
Again, people will say this all the time, but it's like, it's about space, folks. It's not about blowing through, we were making a joke yesterday that like there's some friends of ours, and I completely agree, who say, it's like a guitar player should never play 16th notes. I fucking agree.
Right. Yeah, so you got that little hi-hat melody, and then there's just the whole thing, so it's... Just those little inflections. If anybody's going, it's just like, you're driving me crazy. But I'm not saying that you have to, and hell, Zig plays it different every measure, so it's not like it's a rule or a pattern. It's, and then of course in the B section, I that open hi-hat thing to me is a melody that has to be there, And again, leading up to that, he doesn't play the same ever in the whole song, man. I mean, you know, he's kind of on this little 3-4. He's doing so many variations in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, so, yeah, it's like, dude, at least play the open hi-hat part. It's a melody.
Yeah.
Like, how you not going to play that?
And I, you know, I tell Adam a lot, like, you know, because it's essentially what that open hi-hat in the B section is doing. That is a very signature-esque thing of Zig's, which is first of all like filling on a hi-hat, or doing unorthodox sort of accents.
Yeah,
that aren't
really unique.
That aren't linear, and it's very, you know, it's very Zig, and so yeah, I often say to you, you know, do something disjointed, do something Zig, you know, because it's like that's what I want. Like it's just.
That's a good way to steer my head though into, you know, getting a peek into yours. It's a good way.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, from a guitar perspective, the number one thing is guys overplay. You know, with funk or R&B guitar in particular, you know, it's the normal inclination to, you know, and it's like that ain't funky, man.
Yeah.
And you actually want to times on other episodes where I've talked about Jimmy Nolan or I've talked about Catfish Collins, and you know, it's like when you're listening to the byproduct of the whole record, you're hearing all this syncopation, but it's like all that syncopation is coming from the collective of all the instruments playing with one another, you know, and it's like the second one of those instruments starts playing something more than what they're doing, they're stepping on what somebody else is contributing, and it makes it less good, you know, it makes it bad. And it's about leaving a hole for the instruments to do that dance with one another. And R&B music and funk music in particular, but blues is that way. I mean, all good music is that call and response. It's, you know, nowadays again we're kind of programmed because it's everyone's kind of there's a programming, at least going back to like when I was doing sessions all the time about like trying to fill everything up, you know, and you know, you listen to a lot of these old records and it's most oftentimes it's like what's not there that makes, you know, and again, these are all cliches, but they're freaking true. And so, you know,
just for a reason, yeah.
Yeah, and so the one thing I'm not doing is I'm not going.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm not adding more syncopation. I'm relaxed and I'm playing what's on the record. And the other thing that I figured out actually yesterday.
This was really cool. The sonic difference.
The sonic difference of the answer, the you know, going. If you don't play both those with an upstroke, the right note, which is the two notes on the high E string, which are the dominant notes, don't ring right. So, like, you know, I'll play it both ways. So, see, I programmed myself to do it right.
Yeah.
It's that, you know. Yeah, and that's really important, you know, and that's a little nuance, you know. I was sitting yesterday going, man, you know, it doesn't sound quite right. And then the other thing is in the B section, again, just, you know, a lot of overplaying, you know. It's you know, not. It's not that, you know. It's so, so again, it's like, you know, there's a great saying from Miles that our dear friend, our old compadre Frank Clark used to say. You know, Coltrane went up to Miles and he was like, "Man, I don't know what to do, man. You know, it's like, I got all these notes running through my head, and I just, you know, I can't get them all out, and I'm playing them all, and I don't know what to do, man. I don't know, what should I do?" And Miles goes, "Take the horn out your fucking mouth."
So good.
Sometimes you gotta take the horn out your mouth, man. Sometimes you gotta take the horn out your mouth.
That's it, man.
Most of the time, actually.
Yeah.
And so the last thing is the bass part, and I'll show you guys this because a lot of bass players play this wrong, and this is what actually was on the my buddy that video I was talking about that Kid Anderson made. He actually made it about the bass players, and the bass part. Oh, I didn't turn on my amp, did I?
Oh!
It's okay. I'll do it through this.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Hold on, baby. Hold on. All right. So, the real bass part that George Porter's playing is. Not.
Yeah, no.
Not that. That's.
Guitar's already doing it.
Guitar's doing it. You don't need to do it.
You don't need to do it.
And the organs do it.
Yeah.
So it's like that's another thing is you know, bass players wanting to double up on what guitar players are doing, and that's just not necessary unless we're playing hard rock, unless we're playing riff rock.
Right.
Then it's very, very necessary.
Correct.
But
I would agree with that.
if we're doing this kind of stuff, absolutely not necessary. So that's the first song, and the next one is something very, very dear to your heart as far as your favorite drummer.
Yeah, this is
Talk
a Tony
about-
Allen groove.
Talk about that for a minute.
Doing some fella. Well, actually, when we were talking about this earlier, I just wanted to do a Tony Allen groove. Period. So JD actually picked this tune, but that's great.
Well, it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's your favorite. So it's really cool. This is a good example of like Tony Allen style and the Afrobeat style, just completely throwing out what you think what drummers should be doing in a, you know, at least from what my normal tendencies are, you know,
Sure.
growing up listening to James Brown and listening to, you know, all that stuff, whether you're talking about Martha and the Vandellas or Booker T and the MGs, it's like the Afrobeat approach is so much different to, you know, mentally, I think that this is
All right. Let's
any
play.
Tony Allen, yeah, study
Let's play a little bit.
Tony Allen. Don't warp your mind apart. It's really good. All night, man.
I could do it all night too.
All night.
And that's
so much fun.
That's a fella tune called Expensive Shit.
Expensive shit, yeah.
And you know, yet again, you know, like from a guitar standpoint, I played the same thing that whole time. I never varied.
Yeah.
And
That's almost the same thing. The whole,
that's integral to that.
Oh, to Afrobeat.
To that hypnotic
music.
to that, and it's the same with James Brown. It's the same with funk.
Oh
music.
yeah. In fact, I would say the guitar is one of the percussion instruments.
It is.
I mean, they're more consistent than damn near every other instrument.
Absolutely, and there's something, and again, I mean, it's like I like lots and lots of stuff. And I appreciate great melody, great harmony, great improvise. I live to improvise, but there's just something so beautiful and magical about Afrobeat and funk. And it's really,
especially the Afrobeat stuff. Like, to me, it's almost like a meditation or a trance because it is so hypnotic and it is, I mean, dude, most of that stuff, like, there's no B section.
No,
there's a horn riff, but it's just that.
No,
groove.
expensive shit
it's
is.
It's just a groove the whole. It's like 13 minutes of that. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
There's different layers.
There's
get
layers.
added.
Yep.
And then they get taken away, and dynamics go up and down, and different melodies creep in and out.
Right.
And vocals creep in and out, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just. We can talk about it.
It's really cool. No,
And
well, and even like, for example, like that one's a good example of how the Afrobeat thing is so different. Snare is on 1 and 3 and 4. So 1E, 3E, 4E. Who does that? You know what I mean? Like,
play after the people.
That's the basics.
Talk about the stuff we love on this show. That's what we do. We're here to spread love. We're here to entertain you. We're here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so great. So the last one is probably our favorite groove in the history of
this might be my favorite groove in the history of recorded music.
The history of time.
The history of time.
It precedes time.
Yeah.
There's I've talked many times on the show about Hot Buttered Soul, and Hyperbolic Syllabus Sesquidale Mystic is our favorite. There's just something about it. We actually do a somewhat deconstructed funkadelic-esque version.
Yeah,
of it,
live.
Live and on our new record.
Oh yeah, it's on the record. Yeah.
And which is coming out on August 21st. But for the sake of demonstration, we'll play a bit of just the regular groove, and this is the great Willie Hall played drums on this on that record, who would later go on to play with Isaac Hayes through the whole Shaft era, and Blues Brother fans would recognize him from Murph and the Magic Tones.
Nice.
You wearing the same shit you had on 3 years ago. Jake ain't lying though. We turned goat piss into gasoline. That's my favorite line from the Blues Brothers. Is Duck Dunn.
Duck's line?
Duck Dunn has like, I think that's his only line.
Right?
No, he has 2 lines. Okay.
What else?
He yells when they're angry about not getting paid by the Blues Brothers for the gig at Bob's Country Barker. You guys, Jake is like, you guys better leave, they want us to pay for the beer we drank, but the next gig is going to be huge. You'll see. And then Willie Hall goes, I think we should give the Blues Brothers just one more chance. And Duck Dunn goes, why not? If the shit pays well, scoot over, goddammit. And that's his other line. But my favorite line is when they're sitting there at the Holiday Inn with nobody in it, and they're sitting there at the Holiday Inn, and he goes, Jake ain't lying though. We had a band powerful enough to turn goat piss into gasoline.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Best line in the movie.
Oh man.
I think.
Yeah.
Duck had it. So anyway, this is Hyperbolic. Willie Hall on drums, James Alexander of the Bar-Kays on bass, and my hero Michael Tolles, who signed my guitar right there. My man.
Start that little walk down.
Yeah, starting with the. Yeah.
Sure, you go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh my God.
I love that riff. Oh my God.
It's like
And
the-
what's up with that? What a cool thing. I mean, that's.
Well, what Michael Tolles told me when
I
we
loved learning that. Yeah, that
when
was
we were
really-
down doing the thing at the Orpheum
Oh yeah,
Theater
yeah.
for that aborted PBS
Right.
special.
Oh, it's so sad. That
I
would've been
know
cool.
it's sad.
Would've been cool.
We did this this special for it was Royal Studios in Memphis 60th anniversary show at the Orpheum Theater there in Memphis, and honoring the great Willie Mitchell, and it was pretty insane, man. You know, they had Syl Johnson and Tony Joe White, rest in peace, and Boz Scaggs and Robert Cray and a whole bunch of people. But the house band was
Yeah, they were okay.
was Leroy Hodges and Charles Hodges. So that's a bass player and an organ player from High Rhythm, who played on all of the Al Green hits and O.V. Wright and Ann Peebles and all that amazing stuff. And then Michael Tolles, my hero, was playing guitar, and Steve Jordan was the band leader, and actually me and Adam and Alad were the only band that played.
That's true. That's
that
true.
night.
Everybody else just got up with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a huge show for us. The Barcaves were there as well.
I know, that was crazy.
So it's
dude.
like I was hanging with
It was-
Michael Tolles all day, and Alad was hanging with James
Yeah, I
Alexander,
know.
the bass player. So it's like we both, and he had James Alexander sign his 66P bass, and I had Michael sign my 62 335. I mean, it's like we were just kids, man. It was like being 10 years old, and it was so fun.
That was so much fun, dude.
But no, what Michael told me was yeah, they just went in and cut that on in a day. So that may have been the only time they played that. So he could have just been screwing around.
Yeah.
And then they played it for 12 minutes, and then Isaac goes, "That's it."
That's it.
You know, quite
Good
possibly.
job. Yeah. Good.
Quite possibly.
Have you talked about the outtakes?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Oh,
I did a.
Man, that crap is so good.
A couple weeks ago, I
Oh.
talked about the Isaac Hayes box set that came out a couple of years ago called "The Spirit of Memphis" is what it's called, and it's actually on Spotify, so you can check it out. But what Adam is referring to is the 33-minute outtake of "Do Your Thing," which
Is that the one that just stops because the tape runs out?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's like
So
it's
good.
like it. I mean, it's what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely like what we do. Where it's like it's soul music, but it's absolutely psychedelic. It's free jazz. It's crazy.
It's
and it's
brilliant.
Like, yeah,
It's
and
so
it's
good.
so good to hear. So
yeah, I
anyway,
would strongly recommend. Hey, when you check that.
strongly recommend.
Oh yeah.
So moving along.
Okay,
so those are your three grooves.
Those are the three grooves. Yeah, we did a little, you know.
Well,
We did some New Orleans, we did some Afrobeat, we did some stacks. All
So-
my favorite stuff.
Now we're gonna move into talking about three of your favorite current
Yeah, current drummers.
drummers. So We talked earlier in my records of the week about Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Yes.
So
and that
first,
record,
yeah,
is the one that hit me to Homer.
Homer Steinweiss.
Steinweiss, yeah. I want to say Steinway because of the pianos.
Understood. Just, the great Homer Steinweiss.
Homer, yeah, he is so funky on that record, and his grooves are not typical. Like, they're very creative, and the first time I heard it, it blew my mind apart, and I've been a fan of his ever since. And I think I probably heard that record for the first time in 2007, maybe.
Okay.
I was living at Clint's house. He hit me to that.
Oh man.
So yeah, I got nothing but.
Well, Homer is one of the most sampled modern drummers because he embodies, like all of the greats,
Yes.
obviously Stubblefield and Gadsden
All that, man.
and Benny Benjamin and Uriel Jones and Al Jackson and Zigaboo and I mean it's like
he's still got his own thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely has he's one of the greatest drummers
I think he's one of the greatest dudes out right now.
Yeah.
And it has been for the last 20 years. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
He's nasty. And again, like he's one of those like his tendencies are just kind of like not my usual tendencies. So listening through the stuff and then trying to go back and learning, it's like, man, that was really cool take on, or just approach.
Absolutely.
Really good. I love it. And everything the dudes that I think the guy has done is gold. Man. He's awesome.
And we've actually really borrowed a lot sonically because if you
production
if
too.
You can
Absolutely.
Notice, like this is our setup from the last thing we did, and it's like it's basically just two mics. There's a sub kick down here on the kick drum that I'm using just for
a little.
But it's not really.
Presence.
It's not really like the actual sound of the kick drum is actually coming from that mic and also from this.
Yeah,
mic.
actually.
And so really, it's kind of like a 2.5 mic setup is what I kind of look at it as, and this is completely lifted from Homer's tones that he gets with Gabe Roth, and I mean Homer is just he's incredibly prolific, and I've talked about dozens. I mean, at this point, I've probably talked about almost 100 records on the show.
Yeah,
and
he's on.
and he's probably on 40 of them.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I know him from Sharon Jones, but this cat has been doing stuff on Daptone. Like, he's done so much stuff.
There's a lot of there. Yes, he's much respect. And so, actually, your next choice is another Daptone. Daptone brother. From one of our favorites, the Budos Band.
The Budos Band, man.
Brian Perfilio,
huh? These guys might be my favorite band out right now. I love instrumental music. Yeah. So, and they just keep bringing, again, the amalgam of funk, soul, Afrobeat, rock. I mean, like, some of their new stuff, man, sounds like if Sabbath were a soul band. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, I've learned a lot, actually, about from Brian in particular and Andrew, their trumpet player. There's a really great interview they gave in England last year that's online. It's a video interview. You can find it, I'm sure, where they're talking about their great love of 70, like obscure 70s rock. And so I actually talked about Dust several episodes back. And I learned about a Texas band called Wildfire, which is another great, it's kind of like Zeppelin, sort of James Gang, but it's really dirty, like their preference is sort of on the darker edge of things, like sort of leaning in the Sabbath vein, and it's like you mix that with Afrobeat.
And you got them.
And it's like, oh my God,
especially that new record.
Yeah, the new record,
Five
is
I think 5 and 3 are my two favorites. But
that's funny, yeah.
3's the one with the snake, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
And huge fans.
Yeah.
And the last guy on your list, not you've already mentioned him once in this episode.
Yeah, and I like the way Stanton Moore, man. We're gonna tie it in with the Zigaboo New Orleans thing, and it's funny, dude. I was made aware of Stanton Moore before I ever heard Galactic, which is what I most know him for now.
Sure,
but
of course.
This was back in late '90s, early 2000s when I started teaching and working at Zampino's, and we had a little TV with a built-in VCR up in the corner, and we would basically just be running drum videos all day, just for people walking around the shop.
Of course,
and
yeah.
Stanton had come out with an instructional video that was just playing up in the corner. I was like, who is this cat? Like, you know, and it really inspired me to dive into some of the New Orleans stuff. And I actually transcribed a bunch of the stuff for my students. Cause he like, there's no, you know, no transcriptions or notes or anything. He just kind of talks about it and plays it. And I had some students who were sitting in there watching it going like, dude, I want to learn this. I was like, all right, man, I'll give me till next week. I'll take this home and transcribe. You know what I mean? I'll transcribe some of this stuff and it's his style is really cool, man. And the way he explains the New Orleans thing, and he has, you know, just all these exercises for developing that in the cracks feel, kind of like takes some of the mystery out of some of what he's doing. You look at it, it's like, oh wow, he's like maximizing this sticking pattern. It's really cool, man. So I got hip to him from that, you know. And loving Gretsch drums also, and he's a Gretsch guy. But then discovered, because of that, started listening to Galactic, and you know that.
Certainly.
I think he's.
It's funny because I was late, and when I say late, I mean it was already 13 years ago probably, but I wasn't hip to Galactic. My wife actually.
Oh really?
Was a big fan. And she is a big fan, and she was like, you know, we'd only been together a very short amount of time, and she was like, "Are you hip to Galactic?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know. No, I don't." And she's like, "Well, you love the Meters, and you love Alan Toussaint, and you love Dr. John, and you love the Neville Brothers, and
yeah, it's right up the alley. Yeah.
You're like, she's like, "How do you not know Galactic?" And I'm like, because you know, most of the music I love stopped being made in '73, and we went to see him at Third and Lindsley, and it turns out we have some mutual friends, and it was so good, and it was so good, and I was like, oh, I love this man, and he in particular, he's a ham, he's a great showman.
Oh yeah,
as well
it's
as
on good
being
clinics
great.
too. Of at PASIC.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
he was great at PASIC a couple years ago.
Well, those are definitely, that makes sense. All of those guys, because you embody a lot of
well, thanks, man.
the same. You guys have similar influences.
Well, yeah.
Of these three.
And
guys.
drummers out there, I would say, like, if you're interested in the New Orleans thing, like Stanton Moore is like the modern authority. Like,
Sure.
Go to him for information about New Orleans stylistic drumming. 'Cause
Indeed.
He's the guy.
Indeed.
You know. Yeah.
Well, now let's get into your favorite, probably your favorite genre of music, which is
outside jazz, yeah. Weird
which
stuff.
is not fusion,
Not fusion,
and
no,
not
I wouldn't
bop,
call any
but
of
you
this
probably
fusion.
love bop as much.
Oh, definitely.
But
Absolutely.
you know, this is one of the things that bonded Adam and I early on. Is, you know, basically like everything begins with bitches.
It all begins with bitches.
And
baby.
so
everything starts.
So
with
I'm
bitches.
sorry, folks, that we're, you know.
It's
But
my
I mean,
favorite record. How can
yeah,
you not
know,
talk
I mean,
about it? I
you
don't
know,
think we talked about it
so-
last time either.
So Bitches Brew is Adam's favorite
it's my
album
favorite album.
of all time.
I think it's the
you
coolest.
You would probably pick Bitches Brew over a Beatles record.
Absolutely, dude.
You would pick it over if you could only have one album.
This would be it. There's no,
There you
no
go,
question.
folks.
Hands down. If
There
I
you
could
go.
only ever listen to one album for the rest of my life, this is that record.
There you go, and I completely understand. It wouldn't be my
how
choice.
Can you get by? Boom, 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 boom. That's so good, man. It's so good.
I'm with you, man.
It's
I
just
love
my
it.
favorite shit ever.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
But I will say, I talked about this the other week. I think it was 2 episodes ago. I did talk about that recently, and I think this is, again, I've mentioned this many times on the show, folks, that it's like because I'm a voracious music listener, like listen to at least, I mean, honestly, folks, I probably at least listen to 3 to 6 records at minimum a day, like the whole record. And a lot of times it's more than that, but it's like at least that. And it's not that I get burned out, it's just I've listened to certain records so many times that it's like I start to gravitate towards other records.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned
on the corner. Oh yeah. This is the next one, I think.
Yeah,
and era.
And I actually, you know, personally, it's like this is my go-to at the moment. Like if I'm gonna listen to Miles, I personally will go down a corner. It's more along the lines of what it is that we kind of do.
Yeah.
As far as like the psychedelic influence and kind of the straight up fuzz tone, you know, like
I would have
crazy.
to say that On the Corner sounds more like what we do than Bitches Brew.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Sure, yeah.
And I think
especially the drumming.
But you know, the thing to keep in mind, though, and this is something I talked about on when I talked about On the Corner last time, is, you know, this is when Miles started working with musicians, at least with Michael Henderson, who weren't jazz guys. You know, Michael Henderson, the bassist, was Stevie Wonder's bass player. He didn't know who Miles was.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he didn't know who Miles was. He like got approached by Miles to join his band, didn't know who he was, and told his friends, like, I don't know this guy Miles Davis, and everybody was like, are you fucking kidding? Take the fucking gig, man. And he was into what he was, you know, like what we're into. He was into Funkadelic, and you know, he's playing in Stevie Wonder's band in 71. You know, like, I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
So that, and then just after this, I mean, McLaughlin is still on this record playing guitar. But this is also around the time that one of my favorites, Pete Cozy, started playing guitar with Miles. And Pete Cozy, of course, is, you know, one of the prominent guitar players on Electric Mud.
Ah, okay.
And which makes a lot of sense, because it's like what Miles started doing 72, 73 is that.
Yeah.
So On the Corner is definitely kind of at the forefront of what
it's
I
really
reach
cool.
for.
Yeah, and that's another one with just hypnotic, you know, kind of all in that Afrobeat style of like, dude, the drums are almost like a loop. It's really awesome what's going on. I stole a lot of little ideas from that record.
I understand.
Really cool.
And so your next one is
Are we going Stark Reality?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Talk
record,
about
dude.
Stark Reality.
Okay, the Stark Reality discovers Hoagie Carmichael's music shop. So this one was hip to us by a friend of ours, Adam. I think in 2018. It was like when he did the festival with us. And
when we went to Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam Bednarik. Yeah. He hipped you to this?
He hipped me to this record, man. I'd never heard this. This is from like what? Like, I don't know, 73 or something like that. And,
around the same around the same period as On the Corner.
There's first of all, like all this stuff, the players are all amazing, but like there are,
and talk about those for the people.
Yeah, and one of the dudes is Stark. The guy's name is Stark.
Yeah.
He's the vibraphone player, and like it's his brainchild. But he's playing vibes like through a distorted Fender. It's just disgustingly beautiful sounding. And there are times where you're like, is that guitar or vibraphone? Like, what the hell is even making that sound? It's beautiful. And also what's cool is I think this Hoagie Carmichael's Music Shop was a children's album. And if you do look into this, like, they hired Monty Stark. I think it was PBS. Hired him to do this like children's thing. Anyway, they basically did a jazz reinterpretation of a children's record. So when you're like listening to the lyrics, they're like about telling time and the calendar and like, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But then there's just this brutal, vicious playing. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool.
It's definitely one of our favorite albums as a band, as a partnership.
For sure,
we love it.
And this is like out, man. There's some some weird sounds.
This actually kind of, it's
That's
funny.
One of the weirdest records I've ever heard.
If Bitches Brew or On the Corner is a little too out for you.
Yeah. Don't listen to that.
Don't listen
to Stark Reality. Don't listen to that record.
Because your brain's gonna melt or something, or you're just gonna be filled with rage.
Yeah, one of the two. I don't know. If you're not into that Electric Miles, don't listen to that Stark Reality crap. You're gonna hate it.
So moving from there,
Gateway.
Yeah, absolutely. Here you go.
I think this was the only record they did. It's Dave Holland and John Abercrombie and DeJohnette.
So you have Bitches Brew rhythm sections.
Yeah. And it's funny because as I was looking through all these, it's like, dude, I think Dave Holland and DeJohnette are playing, and Abercrombie, you know, it's
Abercrombie,
more than half of these are one of the 2 or 3 of them.
It's funny how that works.
Something about them together, man. Especially Dave and and Jack. But
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize what a John Abercrombie fan I was until I really looked at these. You know,
Sure.
his playing's awesome. But Gateway, this is sick. There's moments of normalcy as far as grooves are concerned, but most of the record is just
I'd agree with that.
complete like crazy jazz odyssey. And the last song, I think it's called Sorcerer or Sorcery or something.
Yeah, sorcery.
It's mind-boggling, man. It's like this groove in 7, and Dave is holding it down, but then he does this weird stuff, and Jack is like, I don't know how, if he doesn't know where one's at sometimes, I don't know how he phrases some of the ways he phrases. It's just, it's art, man. It's brilliant, and I'm still chasing that dude. He's awesome. And then segue into another
Abercrombie.
the Abercrombie record, Timeless, and I'm pretty sure this is also DeJohnette.
Yeah, that's DeJohnette
yeah.
and Jan Hammer.
Yeah, Jan Hammer. This one is new. I literally just was introduced to this like a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, I moved.
That's
I don't know
what
how
this
many
is
of you know
about,
this, but-
folks.
Yeah, oh yeah, this has been great. I don't know how many of you know this, but I've been living out of an hour from Nashville for the last couple of years, and just moved back to town.
I publish photos of you in your house all the time.
Yeah, out in the woods. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you know, I talk to people at shows and stuff, man. Anyway, I just moved back to town, and some old friends that I used to hang out with a long time ago literally live around the corner from me, like right there, and just had a socially distant hang a month or two. Sat outside, had some beers around around the fire, and they knew that I liked the Gateway record, and so they were like, dude, if you like that, listen to this. And they were right. It just blew my mind apart. It's in the same vein as Gateway, but it's another brilliant one, man. And I kind of lump all those into that, like, kind of being out jazz, It's not like uncomfortable, like Soft Machine or something like that, but
No.
Yeah, it's
No,
totally,
not at all. I agree with all these. I'm not the biggest Jan Hammer fan, as we've discussed.
Right.
But I certainly, I have checked out the Timeless record, and I dig it a lot.
It's cool, right?
I love Gateway, though.
Gateway is the
one. And
one,
the Stark
yeah.
Reality record is really kind of like, it's just so unlike anything. It's like Beefheart. It's like Captain
Yes,
Beefheart.
that's a great way of putting it. It's unlike anything else,
It's
man.
it's just
Stark
very.
Reality is its own little bubble of, it's really cool.
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think that you should take a second and talk about Jack DeJohnette, because I know, we talked about a lot of different drummers last time. We've talked about a lot of drummers tonight, but I know that DeJohnette holds a very special place in your heart. And so, talk about that a little bit, and maybe if there's anything that comes to mind, because I just know how special he is.
Well, I think that I'm not even going to try and do any DeJohnette stuff, man. He's so his own thing. But the things I really like about him are I feel like if you stripped away all the other instruments and listened to just him, he's like playing an unaccompanied drum solo the whole time, but never overplaying, always grooving. Like, I don't even know how he does it. It's a mystery. And he uses a lot of left foot hi-hat, so...
Which is a big thing with you.
A big thing with me, so it's just... Any kind of substitution. So that I got a lot of that from DeJohnette, is using the left foot, not just in a constant quarter note or eighth note way. Like, he uses it very musically, and it's really impressive. And again, his phrasings, man, I just it's beautiful. His playing is
He's your man.
He's my man. I think DeJohnette's the man.
He's one of your big ones.
He's right. Yeah, him and Tony and Elvin, I think,
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this is great, man. Well, we've come to the end of another
Greasy time,
which is awesome. So, you know what that means, folks? It's time to debut the latest offering, the latest funk instrumental offering.
This one I really like.
Yeah, I think this is our favorite
This
one
might
we've
be
done
my
so
favorite
far.
one we've done.
And I definitely was in a big... I didn't talk about him on the show tonight, but I will say right now, I was also in a big Bobby Womack mood this week. and listened to a bunch of Bobby Womack, his solo records, and also stuff that he played on. And so this is sort of a from my perspective at least, sort of a Bobby Womack-esque sort of a type of tribute, at least certain parts of it. And yeah, we put it to Yvonne Craig,
Yeah.
Batgirl from na 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 Batman. And so this is a track called Barbara's Lair, and yeah, here's the world premiere of it. We just cut this 48 hours ago, and here it is. I hope you enjoy it. Coming to you from Greasy Time Live. Here it is, folks. Enjoy it. And there you have it. Barbara's Lair. So Adam is no longer here. He's succumbed to the dark side, and he is now Lord Fader, the dark Sith of the House of Grease. And I'd like to thank him for donating the last bit of his Jedi time to the show here. All right, that's enough. That's enough of him. Hold on a second, folks. I will free you from the clutches. Oh my God.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
That's right.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, folks, once again for joining us here. This was a really good one. It felt like it flowed really well, and obviously, thank you very much, Adam,
Dude,
for
I had a
being
great
here.
time, man. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for being here, and thank you for being my brother. But I hope all of you have a great weekend, as always, and just thank you very much for continuing to tune in week to week. And Adam and I were just talking while the video was playing for you guys, and at this point, you know, with the records of the week and with all the albums I've talked about in the main sections of the show and all that, I've at least talked about over 100 albums on this show, and spotlighted, you know, probably 60 or so different artists, new and old, and that's something that I'm really, really proud of, and it really makes my day to open up my Instagram or my Twitter and see all the private messages of people like going to their local record store and putting their masks on and being responsible and like walking out with like a stack of records that I like suggested. Like that's a really amazing thing. And obviously on Instagram, most days when I'm not completely overwhelmed with responsibilities, I've gotten really into the habit of posting a dozen or so different Spotify links in my stories of songs I happen to be listening to or albums that I'm listening to at that moment, and a lot of people responding back and going, "This is amazing," or "Is there anything else that you can recommend like this?" And that means a lot to me, you know, because I'm just a guy who loves to play music and loves music, and it feels really good to share that, you know, because that has nothing to do with me trying to like promote myself or my music or whatever. Like that's just me being a music fan. And the beautiful thing about all these relationships that I've garnered, like with my buddies from the GA20 band, or Jimmy James, who I've been talking about, or my buddy Johnny Moeller from the Thunderbirds, you know, all these people, Patrick Sweeney, our buddy Patrick Sweeney, all these people that I talk to on a fairly regular basis, Kirk Fletcher, my buddy Kirk Fletcher, love you Kirk, you know, we're all the same in that regard, you know, like we are just head over heels in love with music, and every day it's about trying to figure something out that we didn't know the day before, or listen to something that we didn't know existed, you know, and that's just a lot of fun, and it yields such dividends in your abilities as a musician, but it also, I mean, it's just part of a happy life, man. So it means a lot. So thank you very much for being so supportive and yielding my humble suggestions, you know, just passing on stuff that I really like and that I get enjoyment out of. And thank you for tuning in week after week. And you know, from Adam and myself, we thank you very much. Again, if you care to contribute, please, there's the PayPal and Venmo at the bottom. We really, really appreciate it. It makes a big difference. And thank you very much in advance. It's obviously far from mandatory, but very, very much appreciated. And just take care of yourselves, okay? Be safe, be responsible, be loving. And as always, keep it greasy, okay? We'll see you next time.